Hey, this is a video about putting past prophecies into the future, into our time today, which I think doesn't fit. Sister Sunshine just recently did a video where she said she was going to be reading from the book of Nahum. She said she would start in chapter 1. And then she starts talking about how the Lord wasn't slow to anger and about the Lord's revenge and all, and kind of associated this with things that were happening today. Volcanoes, all this. But if you go to Nahum in the Old Testament, the very first verse says, the burden of Nineveh. This is the book of the vision of Nahum about what was going to happen to Nineveh. The Assyrians had persecuted God's people for so long, and now God was taking revenge. Nineveh was capital city of the Assyrians, and things came in line where the Israelites were strong enough to get their revenge. But if we look at how people do that same thing with the book of Revelations, in Revelation is a period of peace and stability represented by the dragons and the beast. Confinement in the pit was enforced when Claudius, one of the Caesars, he had policies that prohibited the persecution of the church in that first century. And he afforded Jesus' followers protection under the law. And this is the same period that is represented by the four angels holding the winds of heaven until the 144,000 were sealed, after which the great tribulation ensued. You find that in Revelation 7. Claudius is the one who, in 2 Thessalonians 2, says, he who lets and what withholdeth. In 2 Thessalonians 2, it says, and now you know what withholdeth, that he might be revealed in his time. For the mystery of iniquity doth already work. Only he who now letteth will let, until he be taken out of the way. And eventually Claudius was taken out of the way. But as long as Claudius was upon the throne, the church, or Jesus' followers, enjoyed the protection of the law. The Jews at that time who were riding in Rome were banished from Rome, and they were kept from riding against the Christians. This is found in Acts 18:2, where it says, and found a certain Jew named Aquila, born in Pontus, lately come from Italy, with his wife Priscilla, because that Claudius had commanded all the Jews to depart from Rome, and came unto them. I'm reading out of the King James Bible. Claudius is the angel of Revelations 20, which had the key to the bottomless pit to bind the dragon, and the dragon was the world's civil power of that time, Imperial Rome. And he was preventing that power from persecuting the church, persecuting Jesus' followers. The 1,000 years speaks to the timeless nature of the spirit or Hadrian realm. If you look at Psalms 90, verse 4, for 1,000 years in your sight are like yesterday when it is past, and like a watch in the night. This represents a period between the persecutions. The Greco-Romans had notions about Hades, had it that the dead remained there for 1,000 years, after which they were reincarnated into earthly life. And this is pretty much what happens with the dragon and the beast. They are held in the pit for a period of time while Claudius is reigned. Claudius would be removed, and the man of sin, the son of perdition, Apollyon, Nero as we know him, would come to the throne, and the church would come under empire-wide persecution. Jesus' people would be persecuted. There was a time there when Claudius was in the rule that they were protected. Now Nero is there, and the persecution begins again. This is represented by the beast deadly wound being healed in Revelation 13. The beast and the dragon Rome and Nero would rise anew from the pit to persecute God's people. This is sort of opposite of what the representation of Christ's resurrection to save his people from sin. The period during which the dragon and the beast were confined to the pit is described as saying that the beast was and is not, and yet is and shall ascend out of the abyss in Revelation 17. The was points to the earlier persecution during the time of St. Paul. The is not points to the period when John wrote, during which the beast and the dragon were prevented from persecuting the church under the rule of Claudius. And yet is points to the fact that the Jewish hatred of Jesus' followers, or his hatred for the church, had not ceased to exist, but was simply repressed during Claudius's rule. The mystery of iniquity was restrained. That goes back to 2 Thessalonians 2:7. Shall ascend out of the abyss points to the coming eschatological crisis when the beast would temporarily revive in the persecutions under Nero. The bottomless pit here is reference to the Hadean realm of the lost dead, Tartarus. In Revelation, the pit is a spiritual symbol of the realm of the heathendom rule over which the Roman emperors set as kings, holding the keys to the abyss. The pit is a symbol of death and defeat of the church's enemies. During the period of time it's restrained from persecuting the church from the time Claudius comes to rule up until Nero. But people want to take these prophetic statements from Scripture and make them fit into today. My time's up. Got to go.